Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to the final instalment in the Snake River Bridge project. Well, here are the three bridges placed temporarily on the layout prior to painting. I can't actually put them in their final places because the track is in the way. So originally my plan was to get the electrics working and to test the track before building the bridges, but because the command center is not working and I'm waiting for parts, I decided to build the bridges first. So although this is not an exact copy of the Snake River Bridge, it is the essence of it. Well, I spent a few moments cutting out the foam where the bridge goes. This isn't the final shape of the river. At the moment all I've been doing is cutting out the minimum I need to just to get the bridges put in place. I've now got to make a second pass. The scenery in the area depicted is not particularly dramatic. I need to get the banks as shallow as possible. So I'll probably end up with some low retaining walls on some of the tracks and some dirt fills on others. Maybe a few low rock outcrops, but nothing dramatic. Well, here it is from the other side. It's a little unfortunate that the river has to be so much wider at the back, narrowing down dramatically at the front. It would have probably looked better if it had been the other way, but in the situation this is all the designer could do. I certainly can't fault him for that. Well, I've cut back the banks to about where I think they need to be. There will probably be several more minor adjustments as the scenery progresses. For the time being it only has to be somewhere close. I shall put a rock outcrop in here just to give it some variety. Other than that, I think it'll be just dirt banks all the way. Well, I'm back down at my workbench. I'm ready to finish the paint job and the weathering on all these bridges. I've put it off as long as I can because I needed the bridges as placeholders on the layout, and some of the parts got splashed a little bit. It was unavoidable. So I'm just going to touch up the base coats and then get on with weathering. I divided all the bridges by material. I got the concrete parts, the metal parts and the wooden parts. There's another pair of concrete abutments that are permanently attached to the layout already, and I should just run up there and paint those when I get to that point. Well, I've finished applying all the thin washes. I'm going to continue the weathering process with a little bit of rust coloured powder. Now I know from experience that it's very easy to overdo the effect, so I'm going to start on this little bridge here that can easily be weathered a lot more heavily and still look good. Well, yesterday I did most of the scenery in the vicinity of the bridge. The photographs show that there's a lot of riprap around the south pier, so I'm now adding that with these stones. I've got two different sizes. I'm putting the bigger ones down first, and then I'm going to sprinkle some smaller ones and tamp it down in amongst them. I think that's probably enough. Now let's get some smaller ones in there. I'm going to put the camera down so that I can use both hands. So I'll check in with you again later. I have to get this section in first and then bury these legs in the stones. Now if I look underneath, the middle bend here is a little bit on the short side. The grass doesn't cover the bottom well enough, so I'm going to plant some more bushes around there once the bridge is glued in place. And I have an assortment of glues here. Anyway, I need both hands for that, so I'm going to put the camera down and I will check in with you again later. This end of the bridge I have the same problem with the bents here being a mile short. I think what I should do is rip off that ground cover and put another layer underneath it to build it up. This first bent that's in the water is also supposed to be on the bank as well. This one is just one pier, so I'm going to cheat that with bushes. But if I do it on all of them, it's going to look forced. Well, this short approach trestle is now permanently attached. The glue on these stones is starting to set. I used a much stronger version of the scenic cement with about 3 times as much glue as I normally use. The contours under this end are just about right now. What I'm going to have to do is glue this trestle in and then come back tomorrow and do the ground cover on this around the bends. It'll be a little bit awkward, but not too bad. And the plate girder span can now be glued in place permanently as well. Then once all the glue is dry, I can put the rails on it tomorrow and then finish the track, get it ballasted, and then run a train. Well, I haven't done any recording for a couple of days, and here's the result. The bridge is fully installed, all the landscaping is completed around it, and the trees have been planted. The only thing I haven't done yet is pour the water in the river, and that is a project for this morning. I'm using Envirotex Light. It's an easy 2-part resin. Just mix it in equal parts and pour it in. It will find its own level, and if I don't build a dam along both edges, it will run right off onto the floor. And now all I can sensibly do is leave the room and wait for it to go hard. I can't afford to make any dust or allow any other foreign particles to settle on the resin. Well, that's all for this week. I hope you've enjoyed this series. I hope to see you back again next week. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.